Earlier, we'll go back to our earlier story where we told you that ASUU, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, has commenced a one-month warning strike, and this was announced at a press briefing after the union rounded off its National Executive Council meeting in Lagos. To talk this through, I have joining me in the studio, Lagos Zonal Coordinator, ASUU, Adelaja Odukoya. Thank you so much for joining us on TVC News This Hour.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Well, after many hours of roundtable talk, having discussions here and there, you finally decided to go on strike. Tell us how this became very inevitable. Oh,
thank you very much. To actually understand what has happened, we need to actually situate it historically. And the whole problem flows from the unfortunate bastardization of the Nigerian university system. You see, the whole idea about universities, a system whereby education is given using a universal template. In other words, a professor in Nigeria or a graduate in UNILAG should be, or it will be seen as the same with any other anywhere in the world. So you don't have a localized university, like the name implies, is universal. So that means there's a global and universal standard. With the structural adjustment program, the economic misfortune of the country, we have a situation whereby with the ill advice of the World Bank and all this international organization, our government were actually consciously and deliberately schooled in such a way that less value is being given to university education. So we start having serious decay within the system.
Right. Sorry for to not run the risk of rehashing what has been on and on. So are you so convinced that from time immemorial, so to speak, ASUU has always embarked on strike, and then it's almost always the same issues here and there? Do you believe that this strike is going to achieve what the goal the strike is meant to achieve?
I think the first thing is to say ASUU has always, it's not a complete narrative to say ASUU has always embarked on strike. We should finish the narrative. ASUU has always embarked on strike because those who are responsible to actually fix and make sure that our universities are globally competitive, our university are attractive to other people all over the world, are not doing the needful. So what ASUU has always been forced to embark on strike to make sure that our government live up to its responsibility. Yeah. Like you rightly said, we've embarked on strike. We've called it off because as scholars, we are patriotic. We are concerned about the situation in the country. So, like Sharon mentioned at our press conference today, when we embark on strike, sometimes people think we should keep on, but suddenly, because of promises, we'll come back because we are equally concerned. This is our vocation. This is our interest. So we cannot do it perpetually. You understand? But we have gotten to a stage where it is very clear that the government itself is a problem to education. The government is a problem to this country. So consequently, we have been forced again to embark on strike. And this strike for us is a strike to compel the government to do the needful.
There you go again. There you go again. Yeah. Because if you look at ASUU, you guys are a group of professionals, social scientists, professors, academics. Is there no other alternative? Because that's always been the question. Are there no other alternatives to having to resolve on going on strike?
Thank you very much. The first thing to say is that, like we put to people, what are the alternatives? The alternative you talk about are usually dialogues. You are equally aware that this is a 2009 agreement. Between 2009 and now, and this moment, this may be about the 15th strike. And every strike, you have just said, we call off the strike. We call off the strike because we are negotiating, because we are listening to people, because we are exploring other alternatives. We call off the strike or because we think we should do some other things, negotiate, get people to intervene, like this very recent one. From August, we are aware there was a warning, there was an ultimatum. The government did nothing. We went back. We've written more than 50 letters. Just about 2 weeks ago, the NEREC, the National Interreligious District, intervened. Those are alternatives. But when you have, people should talk to government that has refused to do what is needful. So at our end, another alternative is what we call the Ghana alternative. To say, okay, close that the school and we'll go home. So don't think the alternative is not just calling strike. The actual strike is a patriotic distance because there's even an extreme alternative. Not to say, okay, you don't want to do anything. Okay, go on. Unfortunately, you can't employ lecturer. You can't create a professor a day. So the alternative we have explored. The alternative, we are being forced to go on strike because government has refused to do the needful. We call off we suspended the last strike December 2020. How many months down the line? The government has not done anything.
Well, part of this alternative, you probably are aware of the fact that the Sultan of Sokoto, Mohammed Abubakar III, and the current president, Dr. Samson Ayokunle, they visited the president just about a month ago. They had a dialogue with him on this issue. And the president, appealed to them to appeal to you at the same time.
There was nothing on the table. There was strictly nothing on the table. As a matter of fact, we cannot give details of actually what happened there. Because they were equally surprised. They were fed with lies. But when they came and met us and we showed them the document and things like that, they were shocked. So those are part of the alternative you talked about. And we keep on exploring it. And we are not we are open to everything. But when the government has refused to do the needful, the only thing a worker is left to do is to withdraw his service.
But are you not concerned about because this is just going to be another harrowing experience for the students who have actually, planned their lives based on the calendar, the existing calendar before now that it's going to be disrupted?
Thank you. The first thing is to say, as lecturers, and one of the issue and the central here is equally our renegotiation. We deal with our welfare. The salary we are still getting is the one we got 2009. Right. So consequently, when you look at the rate of inflation and everything that's happened, you understand? We equally have our students here because we cannot afford to send them abroad. They are the ones that can send their own children abroad. So our children are equally affected. That's one. Then number two, it is not only students that have programs, as scholars, and that's why I talk about universal. We are supposed to travel, to move around. We have researches, we have conferences, whether local and things like that. We have community services. When we go on strike, and then we overwork, and that's why you hear people talk about academic allowances. That's supposed to actually be temporary for government to fix, to employ people. But government has not been able to do that. IPPIs have worsened that because now to employ a lecturer, you have to go to Abuja. So we have many departments with nobody there. So we are overworked. We are equally expected to go on vacation. We cannot. So it's not just about students, it's about us, and we are concerned. Well, Mr. But this is fixing all the problem.
Mr. Odukoya, let me just take you on this before I allow you to go. We thought all was well when the Minister of State for Education, Emeka Wajuba, promised that the union will be paid, and then they got paid of 22.1 billion naira, and allowances. They were paid to lecturers in federal universities. So with this done, do you still feel the government is not exactly willing to honor?
Thank you very much. I will say it with all sense of responsibility that the government is a confusionist, and they are deliberately involved in propaganda to confuse the people. The issue is that I've just told you that even the academic allowances that is becoming an issue for government is actually supposed to be a stopgap. We are not having adequate lecturers in the university system. You are overworking them, pay them these allowances. But it's a stopgap so that you can employ. Rather than employ more lecturers, government has equally introduced IPPIS that has now centralized employment. It has equally complicated that. So that is actually not an issue. The issue we have on ground, for instance, I've told you the salary I'm earning, and any lecturer is earning since 2009, still what we're earning today. Right. That's what we call about renegotiation. Right. That has been concluded. It's supposed to be renegotiated every 3 years. Right. We didn't get to do it. Right. May it has been concluded, and yet they've not done anything as we speak.
Well, because of our time, we need to put it here. But then we'll continue to study the conversation between. I know that consultations will still be ongoing.
Oh, we are always open. You see, as a matter of business, we attend any meetings.
That makes sense. Lagos Zonal Coordinator, ASUU, Adelaja Odukoya. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, TBC. Thank you for having me.